So it's about 6:30, it's Sunday evening. I didn't quite get to this morning when it was all nice and rainy, because it's been a horrible day here this Sunday. We're due to have a storm in this leafy part of England I live in overnight, so it's not really raining that hard at the moment, but it is raining out there, so it's lovely and wet. If you're quite astute, you'll notice that the System-8, I keep wanting to call it the Jupiter 8, but it's not, it's the System-8, has made it in to the studio. So it's taken me a good week to get it over there, purely because I had to work out where things had to go, and then I had to recable things and move wires around, which you think is going to be a 5-minute job, and it turns out to be a 2-day job, and I still haven't reconnected everything from when I had to move it around. So I'm still working on that. So hey ho. But before I get on to the System-8, I'm going to talk about, I saw a band on Friday night called Rumours of Fleetwood Mac. So, as the name sort of gives away, it's a Fleetwood Mac tribute band. And I have to be honest and say, something didn't click for me, and I can't put my finger on what it was. I really can't. I sort of sat there yesterday, and I sat early on today when I was sort of thinking about sort of doing the piece to camera, thinking about what didn't click, and I can't really put my finger on what didn't click. If you like Fleetwood Mac, you probably would enjoy an evening with this band. Okay, there's nothing from a musicianship perspective. There's nothing wrong with what they did. They were tight. They were good. The music was good. It was as you know, you would expect to see if you went to see a real Fleetwood Mac concert. They had people playing all the different roles. So they had the Mick Fleetwood character, the Lindsey Buckingham character, the Christine McVie, Stevie Nicks, Dave Green. You know, all those roles were pretty much sort of were taken by individuals in the way they portrayed the characters on stage and within the band. And just sort of moving on from that, the guy who was playing the Peter Green role was a guy by the name of Dave Goldberg. Brilliant keyboard player. That's all I can say. Brilliant keyboard player. Plays a Korg stack, 3 keyboards on stage, 3 Korg keyboards. What's nice to see is that he was playing a Kronos. You don't see in the sort of level down bands, I suppose, you don't see many Kronoses being gigged at the moment, but he was playing a 61 note Kronos, and it was doing well. He also had a CX3 as his master keyboard at the bottom. And then there was a 3rd chord keyboard in the stack in between the Kronos and the CX3. Unfortunately, the profile of the keyboard itself, couldn't work out what keyboard it was, but that's just me. I'm nosy. I like to see what keyboards people play. The other week, when I went to see Level 42, there was Mike up on stage, and he was playing his Prophet. Had his Prophet there in sort of full view, but spent most of the time obviously playing a Roland DD stage piano. But you know, each their own. I mean, I must admit, when I'm playing, I do actually probably more gravitate to the Kronos because of the weighted keyboard. Although I do play my Jupiter a hell of a lot. So you know, the way the studio is set out is that every keyboard is fully accessible to me if I want to play that particular keyboard or I want to play that particular sound, depending on what it is I'm trying to do. So, as I say, I can't put my finger on what it was. I was actually quite looking forward to it, so maybe that was what it was. I think it's something to do with the visuals and the music didn't quite line up for me. Okay, that's for me. But it does bring me on to, and I've had this sort of rant on the channel before. Why do you pay money to go and see a band and then spend the entire night either talking to your best buddy next to you or constantly going backwards and forwards to the bar? I don't get it. I really don't get it. you pay, well, let's say, you know, round here to see a band at a venue like G Live, which is the venue in Guildford, you're paying somewhere between £25 and £35 to go and see that band play. And then you spend the entire night walking backwards and forwards to the bar. Sorry, you know, I don't get it. I think it's disrespectful to the artist personally. You know, they're standing up on stage, alright, they're being paid to stand up on stage, but they're standing up on stage and they're giving their all and trying to entertain you. And there's nothing worse than watching people constantly walk in and out of a venue. And alright, the lights are on the stage and you might not see a lot of this going on in the background, but for me it's a little bit disrespectful. The other thing was going on Friday night was I had a family sitting a couple of rows in front of me, so we were sitting not where I would normally sit when I go to G Live, which is in the stalls at the front, but we were sitting in the sort of the tiered seating going backwards, and there was a family in there who were, how do I put it, you can't tell me what to do, you can't tell me to shut up, why don't you off. They continually talked all the way through the performance, to the point where actually at one point their voices were louder than the music. Now that's saying something. It was a quiet piece of music, but they were still louder and people were all around them. Again, you know, if that's what you've come there to do, go somewhere else. Stop. You know, people around you've come to see these people play. You know, if you don't want to see them play, well, I'm sorry. You know, in your own words, F off somewhere else. You know, it's respect and it's enjoyment. You know, if you don't want to do it, go somewhere else. But anyway, enough said. So now I am going to talk about the System-8, and I have to be honest and say I've had this now for 2 weeks, and I really haven't given it the justice time it needs. Part of that was because it took me so long to get my arse into gear to get it actually up here. And when I did get it up here, then it was solving a bunch of stuff that needed to be solved. So I'm going to run you through some of the sort of the tips and things that I've done so far to get to where I am. So the first thing, when you get this thing out of the box, okay, is it will come with version 1.01 firmware on it. You need to download and install 1.02. Okay, fairly easy to do, but you know, you can do it rather quickly. When you have done that, and thank you John Morley for reminding me, you then need to do a factory reset on the keyboard itself to clear all the patches down and put the new patches in place that come with 1.02. And you're going to say, what's the difference? And all I can say is, they seem cleaner. Okay? Don't ask me why, I can't put my finger on it, but they seem cleaner and crisper, the factory patches in 1.02. Alright, so it's a better starting point for when you start your experimentation. That's the first thing. Second thing you need to do, if you have an MX1, like I do, which is sitting there, is you have to do an upgrade to 1.05 on the MX1 so that it knows all about the System-8. Again, relatively easy to do. I've done videos on the channel. You can see how you check the firmware and how you upgrade it. So I've done that. What I have now done is I've got this working beautifully. I've got this working, I've got that working. My drum machine doesn't bloody work. I have not a clue what is going on with the audio on the drum machine. I haven't had real time to play around with it and see if I can what I've done. I know the MIDI is the USB is connected, because if I change the tempo on the MX1, the tempo on all the devices changes at the same time. So I know that is working. Okay. What I don't know is why I'm getting no audio out of the damn thing. So further investigation needed on that. So that's how you set it up and install it in my environment. Well, that's how I set it up and installed it. I installed it in my environment, and I've still got that wrinkle to iron out. The second thing you need to do is you need to register, and I said this on a video about registering the System-8, and then I had a load of people come back to me and said, what do you need to register? It's got all the plugins on it. I'll clarify. What you need to do is you need to register your System-8 with Roland so you get the guarantee sorted out. So they give you, on all Roland equipment, they give you a free parts and labour guarantee, and then when you get over 24 months, or depending on which keyboard you bought, they will then give you a parts guarantee for a period of time. In order to get that, you have to register the device. So you take the serial number, you go to the Roland website, create an account, you register. You need to create an account on the Roland website anyway, because when you got your Roland your System-8 and you got your System 1, and I'm just covering up my product key, you would have got one of those. Okay? You need to file that somewhere safe, because this card is how you download the Juno 106 sounds next year. So what will happen next year, so I've been led to believe, is that on the Roland plugouts page on the website, the Juno 106 patch will arrive, and you will download that and load it into the keyboard much the same way as you load the patches into other keyboards. Okay, so I'm led to believe. Now I thought when I got this and I took it out of the box, and I sort of like saw the fact that they'd stuck the stickers on them, so there you go, there's some stickers, right, which come with it, by the way. But I thought when I saw those stickers stuck on the System-8 up there above plug out 1 and 2, so plug out 1 is the Jupiter, and plug out 2 is the Juno 106. So I thought when I saw those stickers, because on the earlier versions, on the videos that I'd seen of other people who had pre-release versions of this, they had no stickers on them. And then I saw some videos where people had the Jupiter 8 stickers but no Juno sticker. So when I got mine out of the box and it had both on it, I thought, oh hey, I've got the Juno 106 on it automatically. Juno 106 is due after Christmas. I think it's probably around about February time next year, so it's 2017. It's not going to be released this year. So Roland, you've misled a lot of people with this, because people thought they were going to buy the System-8 and get both the Jupiter and the Juno out of the box. We're not. I'm not complaining, because I still think from what I've done with the keyboard so far, it's a damn good investment. The second thing you will have noticed when you bought, third thing, fourth thing, whatever, is that Roland give you a fairly big, thick book. Well, it seems fairly big and thick. I mean, it's definitely a lot more instructions in it than there was for the other pieces of ARIA equipment. And it is actually quite comprehensive in terms of what it says in here. No different to a lot of the older Roland books, if I'm brutally honest, but now, I've already got a tea smudge on mine, because I was reading it while I was having a cup of tea. Now what you will have noticed is on the box when you bought the System-8, there will be a peel-off sticker, like that, with a barcode on it. And you may need that later on. Don't ask me why, but you may need that later on. Okay, so what I suggest you do is you peel it off the box and stick it on the front of your book, because that is the factory system code for your keyboard if you ever have to return it, if you throw the box away. So that's that. I think that's all I'm going to say on the System-8 at the moment, because as I say, I really haven't had a chance to play with it. I've got some fairly interesting stuff going on with it. I do like the chord hold feature. I like the arpeggiator as well, especially with some of the Jupiter sounds. So let's have a think here. So I will save some more words on the Jupiter until I've actually had a bit more chance to play with it a bit more, because I don't think I'm going to give it justice if I say things on it about now. So the last thing, I think I'm going to finish on this week, is that, as many of you will know, I like my legacy keyboards. Now I own, in my keyboard range, I own the D50, which is sitting here. I own a D70, which is sitting there. Okay. I also own a D10, and I also own a D20. And in my rack of modules, I have a U220, I have a U110, and a D110. D110, isn't it? Yeah. Yes. I always get those confused. And I use those quite a lot for sound reinforcement. It's quite good that, you know, the sounds themselves aren't as complex as the sounds on the Kronos or the Jupiter, or to that matter on the D50 or the M1. They're quite simpler sounds, but they are stock sounds, and some of them are actually quite good. I mean, there's some quite nice bass sounds that you can get on those units themselves. And the D series keyboards are actually in storage. They're not here. They're off in storage. I don't use them all the time. In fact, actually, I think, yeah, Paula's got one of them at the moment because she's learning to play. So, as you know, my friend Paula Penguin, she's got a couple of my keyboards around there at the moment because she's learning to play. So one of the Ds is around there, my D10. Anyway, what I thought I'd cover off here is this. So I've seen quite a lot of these come up on eBay recently. Okay, and what it is, this is the PG-10 programmer. Okay, and this was designed for the D10, D20 keyboards and the D110 rack mount unit. Okay, so this was designed for those, and it was designed as a tone editor. So rather than going through the many menus, you could edit the tones on here. It's much the same as this thing here, this beastie here, which is the PG-1000. However, this is far more complex. Okay, this is really designed for this beastie, whereas this was designed for the simpler tones. I say simpler tones, the simpler tones on the PG. I'm sorry, on the D110. Now I've seen quite a few of these go around on eBay, and I've had this for quite a number of years, and I've used it quite a lot. At the moment, it's just sitting in one of my storage racks in the studio because I'm not using it. And I'm not going to sell it, so don't ask. But if you have a D110, and how would I put this? If you're like me, I mean, I've got some really modern stuff in my studio. I've also got some really good legacy kit in my studio. I honestly can say that the D110 and the D10 and the D20 are absolutely astonishing keyboards. Okay, they come with slightly more features than the D50 and the D70 in terms of both of them have a drum machine and a rhythm section on them, so you can actually do a little bit more than just pure synthesizer work on them. The synthesis is different, of course. You know, all right, it might be the D series, but you know, the D10 and the D20, and to a lesser extent the D5, are very similar in their tones and their patch sequences. D50 a completely different beast. D10, D70 a completely different beast again. However, they are very good keyboards, and if you're looking for a keyboard to either have set up somewhere, or you're looking for a second keyboard, or even a master keyboard, do you know what? For £100 you can't go wrong with one of those keyboards if you buy a good one. And there are some really good ones of those on the market as well. So if you do buy a good one, look for one of these. As I say, I've seen quite a few of these on eBay recently, quite a few based US based and quite a few UK based. So you know, the Europe and US. Go and buy one, and then you can link it up, and I will do a video actually showing you how to link this up to your D10, so you can actually do real-time editing of the patches, and then you opens it up so much more. That's all I'm going to say on that, but I've seen them, so it's worthwhile going and getting one. If you, of course, own a D10 or D20. If, on the other hand, you don't own a D10 or a D20, don't bother. So, I've whittled on for a while. I've given you my enlightenment, and now it's time for me to say good night. Bye bye.